Welcome to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Vivian Nunes. The headlines we're tracking this hour. Robust growth. China's services sector continues to expand and is now being included in national retail sales data. We'll find out why. High heat, extreme temperatures continue across Europe and the US, causing heat-related deaths and putting pressure on power grids. And tensions flare. The US and Iran trade blame at a UN Security Council meeting after talks in Doha failed to make progress on a peace deal. Let's take a quick look at the Chinese mainland markets now, where equities edged higher on Friday as robotics-related stocks surged. The Shanghai Composite was up 0.37%, while the Shenzhen Component closed 0.64 percentage points higher. We'll have details later in the program. Now, though, a look at how regional markets performed and how Wall Street closed overnight. China's services sector maintained robust growth in June. The private purchasing managers index reading stayed firmly in expansion territory despite a slight pullback from the previous month. The rating dog China Services PMI came in at 54.1 in June, easing from May's 54.4, but still marking the third highest reading in nearly 3 years and staying well above the 50-point threshold. New export business grew at its fastest pace this year, while employment expanded at the strongest rate since July 2024. Selling prices also returned to growth after 2 months of contraction. The composite PMI, which covers both manufacturing and services, registered 53.6 in June. It was down slightly from 54 in May, but remained in expansion territory for the 13th consecutive month. Consumption remains one of the primary engines of China's economic growth. According to multiple international institutions, the country's consumer market maintained stable operation in the first half of this year, with service consumption continuing to show solid growth momentum.
This year marks the start of the 15th five-year plan. From our observation, the focus of the entire consumer market has shifted from selling products to selling services. In terms of specific drivers, I believe there are 3 aspects. First, digitalization has eliminated the requirement for consumers to be physically present. Second, the integration of scenarios. Third, changes in market access. Policies related to the 15th five-year plan have been gradually implemented, and many measures are being taken to lower market entry barriers.
Here in Beijing, every square metre counts. Now, spaces that once went unnoticed are drawing fresh attention. The city is no stranger to world-famous landmarks, but increasingly, visitors and locals alike are looking for something beyond the usual sightseeing, and they're finding it one floor up. Our reporter Yu Bo-kun takes us to the rooftops.
Everyone knows Beijing from the street. The bustle, the traffic, the crowd. But these days, more people are heading one floor up. This old bookstore has stood in central Beijing for decades. Locals drop by for coffee, reading, or a quiet break. The owner renovated a few years ago to make room for more readers.
Our bookstore was quite small. During a 2023 renovation, we added a rooftop terrace, expanding the space from 130 to 260 square meters.
Well, heading in the Beijing is one of the busiest neighborhood. This bookstore has found an unexpected draw.
It's second floor terrace.
The terrace now hosts reading sessions, flower arranging workshops, and small events, attracting a whole new crowd.
With the breeze outside, you feel much closer to nature.
It's definitely a different atmosphere from being inside. Sitting here and looking out at the historic buildings just feels wonderful.
Today, the rooftop is just as popular as the shelves below.
The Dongcheng government's campaign to promote terrace businesses has brought in customers who come specifically for the terraces. We've also seen more young visitors.
Beijing's famous landmarks aren't going anywhere, but what's changing now is how the city is using existing spaces, where terraces like that are giving visitors a fresh experiences and while creating new business models for local shops.
The Dongcheng district government has linked more than 300 terrace spaces along the central axis with hotels and tourist sites. Partnerships with platforms like Meituan and Ctrip are helping draw more foot traffic. From bookstores to restaurants, terraces are breathing new life into old spaces. In a city where every square meter counts, even a rooftop can become a destination in its own right. Yu Bokun, CGTN, Beijing.
Well, for more insights on China's services sector and the broader consumption landscape, I'd like to bring in Liu Zhiqin, a Senior Research Fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China. Thanks for joining us on Global Business this afternoon. The National Bureau of Statistics recently started including total retail sales of consumer goods and services in its monthly economic data for the first time. What's the significance of officially tracking services in this way?
I should say that this action is very important because in order to help China's economic development in a healthy, sustainable, and predictable way for further development, this is a very important figure for the market, for the rest of the world, and also for the domestic market. We can know much more facts on how to develop their own business. In 5 aspects, I should say, that's behind this action. One is that is for the market governance in order to have a better control. And the second is also for macro policy regulation. And the third is for the industrial restructuring. And the fourth is also very important for the further opening up. And the last one is very important, is also for the expansion of the domestic consumption. These figures can help all the policy makers and also entrepreneurs to make the right decision.
And in the first 5 months of this year, China's total services imports and exports rose 6% year on year, with particularly strong growth in travel and knowledge-intensive services. What are the key factors behind this momentum?
I think this momentum has shown that the China's economy developed very well, is with a very strong powerhouse in China. As we know that the resilience and the more efforts will be given to develop the consumption market. In this way, that also we can see that the import and the export business can as the booster for the economic development, because this can have a more connection with the external market and also for the domestic market, because we have already adopted a policy of dual circulation, both internal and external. By both sides of combination, I think this is very important to see the figures for retail goods and also service industry, because this is a very important figure as we always understood. This figure does not include the traditional one, for instance, education, medical, and aging people services. But it's very important for the government to know the real facts, and especially for their more proactive and supportive policies to be worked out. This is a very important step.
And e-commerce has already transformed daily life here in China. You can get everything from groceries to coffee online. As AI becomes more deeply integrated, I wonder, do you think if it will drive a similarly transformative shift in consumer habits?
Actually, I believe that the AI technology will be the booster for the consumption. Even online consumption is also very important part of the consumption, as I told you. As we know that for the online consumption is one of the engines for China's domestic market. Also, international cross-border commerce is also online business very important, because this online business connecting with the digitalization, with other all infrastructures, construction. This is a very important part of the economic development. So this model will make the people's life more convenient, more comfortable. that's a very well accepted and welcomed, not only by the young generation, but also many Asian people now are eager to join the team, join this group to buy things, buy goods, buy services online, because this is what we have already enjoyed and adopted from the AI technology. This is what the AI technology can bring us. This is I should say, latest modernization in China's consumption. This is a very bright future in our consumption economic structure.
All right, we'll leave that there for now. Thank you very much. Liu Zhichen joining us there from Renmin University of China. Amid the summer peak in tourism spending, Shanghai is enhancing its cross-border consumption services ecosystem. The recent opening of a foreign currency exchange point on the basement level of Wanda Plaza in Wujiaochang, Yangpu district marks a shift from the traditional practice of concentrating such services at airports and metro stations. By placing financial services directly within major commercial hubs, this initiative aims to give new momentum to inbound tourist spending. Lei Shuran has more.
Hello. Hi. Can I help you? Yeah, I would like to exchange.
A foreign currency exchange facility recently popped up in the basement of Wanda Plaza in Wujiaochang. Multilingual staff are on hand at all times to provide services to both local residents and international visitors.
Here you can get very good rates, and it's very convenient when you're here at the shopping mall and you're shopping. You can also exchange currency if you want.
The foreign currency exchanges counters in commercial districts are capable of providing instant assistance to international visitors encountering payment difficulties, while also delivering greater efficiency and more competitive rates.
Having foreign currency exchange counters right inside shopping malls is certainly a public-friendly measure. I am quite supportive of it, and I find it very convenient.
The counter at this location provides conversion services for more than 40 currencies, including the Thai baht, South Korean won, and Indonesian rupiah. According to the staff, the counter has been operational for just 10 days. Volume of exchange transactions this week has surged by 180% compared with the previous week.
We've actually seen a 100% year-on-year jump in foreign exchange deals at Wujiaochang. So to ride this wave, we brought in Trip's currency exchange operation. That gives foreign visitors a complete shopping support package, and at the same time, it helps us more accurately draw in local high-net-worth travelers who are heading abroad.
Right now, Shanghai is getting a lot more foreign tourists coming in. They need to exchange money, and they often run into trouble when paying. So we've put these exchange counters right in the shopping malls. That way, we can sort out all their payment problems in one place, improve their experience, and make everything quicker, easier, and more thorough.
From January to April this year, Shanghai recorded over 3 million inbound travelers. As commercial districts serve as the primary location for shoppers, the foreign currency exchange counters within these areas can further elevate their international service standards and support Shanghai in its efforts to build a better tourist-friendly city. Lei Shuran, SMG International for CGTN, Shanghai.
Now, for a closer look at the equity markets in the region, let's cross to Timothy Pope, who's also in Shanghai. Good to see you, Tim. It's been a pretty busy week for the Chinese mainland markets. We saw some dramatic drops on the Chinex yesterday. How did they wrap up on Friday?
Yeah, busy week indeed, Viv. That tech sell-off of the last couple of sessions changed direction a bit today. The Chinese mainland markets reversed their losses. The Shanghai Composite Index was up 0.4%, managing to end the week with some modest gains. The Shenzhen component added 0.6% today. And Shenzhen was home to the really big story of the week. The Chinese mainland markets saw the debut of China Resources New Energy Holdings, which is a unit of a Hong Kong-listed China Resources Group. Now, this IPO raised 24.5 billion yuan, $3.6 billion US, and that makes it the biggest in Asia so far this year. The stock price more than doubled on its debut yesterday, closing up 137%. It even triggered a brief trading halt at one stage because it had risen 198%. Today it came down a little bit off that incredible high, slipping about 8%. But this is not just a sign of investor confidence in this one particular wind and solar company, even though it's a big one. It operates in 30 Chinese provinces. This is The first of the so-called red chip companies. These are companies incorporated in Hong Kong, but that operate on the Chinese mainland. It's the first of those to list in Shenzhen, and its success is sure to draw others of that stripe to follow. Interestingly, we also saw Morgan Stanley say in a note this week that it expects the A-share markets to increasingly reflect tech and innovation-heavy sectors. Now, that certainly tallies with recent IPO approvals, China Resources New Energy among them, but also Changxin Memory and Unitree on the tech side, which are poised to list here in Shanghai. Interestingly as well, Morgan Stanley also says that its analysts see the best opportunities at the index level, which we can take to mean that the indexes are going to be more weighted towards these new priority sectors. So it won't be so much a matter of stock picking in their view, Viv.
Although 198% on debut is pretty impressive. Now, more broadly, both the Hang Seng and the Nikkei 225 ended the week in stronger shape. What were you following from around the region?
Yeah, around the region we saw that same stock bounce. The Hang Seng was up 1.3% today. Some strong performances from resources and pharmaceutical stocks. There were a couple of new drug approvals and international tie-ups grabbing some market attention on the pharmaceutical side. Investors around Asia were also looking at the latest US jobs report that was released overnight, and that came in a little bit softer. It prompted hopes that the US Fed might not need to raise interest rates at its next meeting. In some quarters, those rate hike bets actually turned into rate cut bets. But more broadly, we saw cyclical and consumer shares gaining as a result. That was true in Hong Kong and also true in Tokyo, where the Nikkei 225 gained 1.5%. It ended the session a little bit below 70,000 points and gained about 0.5% for the week as a whole. The broader topics index was also rising in Japan as well, and that shows the buoyant sentiment there wasn't just concentrated in the Nikkei's basket of really heavyweight tech stocks. The topics actually has risen now for 5 consecutive sessions, its longest winning streak since October of last year. Tech, though, was still pretty well represented in the top gainers on the Nikkei. Silicon wafer maker Sumco added more than 11%, and the component maker Rome was up 14%, Viv.
Thank you very much. Tim Pope there for us in Shanghai. And you're watching Global Business. Coming up, high heat temperatures continue to soar across Europe and the US, causing heat-related deaths and putting pressure on power grids. So what does that mean for data centres and AI? We'll take a look when we return.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business. Only on CGTN.
Extreme temperatures continue in parts of the US and Europe. Record-breaking temperatures are spreading across the eastern US, impacting 163 million Americans. 46 million are under heat alerts. Washington, D.C. is expected to reach 40 degrees on July 3rd, while New York City has activated emergency plans for its worst heatwave in over a decade. The US National Weather Service warns that the perceived temperature could rise to 46 degrees. Peru, meanwhile, has placed multiple regions under a 60-day state of emergency amid prolonged El Niño threats projected to last into 2027. And in Europe, France has seen nearly 7,000 wildfires already this summer, with an estimated 1,000 heat deaths. Spain recorded more than 1,000 heat-related deaths in June, the highest since records began in 2015. Chinese home appliance maker Midea has developed flexible air conditioning units that can bypass some of the tough installation regulations in Europe. Tobias Strobel, the company's residential AC division tech chief in Europe, suggested that companies should customise products for different European countries.
Here, the difference for the AC business is, of course, that it's for a longer time, also at night. So this is quite new. In Central Europe, we are really not prepared for such heat waves. That's why the demand for ACs is big, but you cannot install it. Still, there are too many regulations that it's not really allowed to have an outdoor unit on your facade installed. And the big issue is also we have a big lack of installer, so you cannot change this in just 1 or 2 years. That's why we developed the porta split, which also solve all of these issues, because we go around of these regulation things, because our unit is not a fixed installation, and this is the big benefit what we have. And I think this mindset is also changed, not just in Europe, but also in the Chinese brands. So like MYT, that Europe is not one country, but it's different countries and different needs. So we have to develop dedicated AC units for the dedicated countries.
And from portable air conditioners and electric fans to ice makers and handheld misters, Chinese-made cooling products are flying off production lines to meet demand in Europe.
As a severe heat wave continues to scorch Europe, it is not only rewriting weather records, but also reshaping how Europeans keep cool, and in doing so, driving a surge in Chinese-made cooling products. In Yiwu, East China's Zhejiang province, overseas buyers are placing orders for a wide range of items, from handheld fans and misting umbrellas to portable appliances.
This umbrella comes with a built-in fan and water mister. With just a click, you can enjoy a cooling breeze. It also offers sun protection. As temperatures rise across Europe, exports of sun-proof products are increasing accordingly.
Supported by mature supply chains and thriving cross-border e-commerce, these products are now reaching European consumers with greater speed and efficiency than ever before.
Almost all cross-border e-commerce platforms have warehouses in Yiwu, which gives us a huge advantage in developing this business.
From January to May this year, Yiwu's cross-border e-commerce trade volume reached 81.2 billion yuan, or about 12.1 billion US dollars, marking a year-on-year increase of over 10%. Manufacturers in Ningbo, Zhejiang province, have also reported robust growth. One exporter said shipments of ice makers to Europe surged by more than 70% during the first 5 months of this year. Moving quickly to meet demand, Chinese manufacturers are upgrading features and fast-tracking new models, delivering an ever wider array of cooling options to European buyers.
And over to the US now, where record heat is creating dangerous conditions for millions of Americans. To make matters worse, high humidity is pushing the real feel to even more extreme levels. CGTN's Jim Spellman has this report.
A brutal heat wave is stretching across the eastern half of the United States. Good news for some.
I love the heat. The heat has made this business an Iceman's dream. It's 4th of July. We got a heat wave coming. What could an Iceman ask for?
But for most, it's a struggle to stay cool amid dangerous conditions.
You drink water, you eat ice cream, you know what I'm saying? Just do what you gotta do.
The sky-high temperatures are driven by a so-called heat dome, a high-pressure system that traps sweltering air near the Earth's surface. Researchers say heat domes have grown more common due to climate change. Along with the heat comes high humidity, making it feel even hotter.
Many of these cities in the Northeast are going to be very, very close to 100 degrees for the actual air temperature, but the AccuWeather real field temperature, which expresses the way it feels, the human body feels when you're outside, is going to be between 105 and in some spots up to about 112, 113 degrees in areas like Washington, D.C.
That's about 45 degrees Celsius. Here in Washington, D.C., the potentially record-setting heat is expected to remain in place through Saturday's July 4th Independence Day holiday.
When thousands are expected for fireworks and a speech by President Trump on the National Mall.
On July 4th, it's going to be approximately 107 degrees out. And I'm going to go and I'm going to make a really long speech just to show that I can do anything.
The East Coast heat wave should subside next week. In the western United States, extreme heat, high winds, and dry conditions are driving dozens of wildfires across multiple states. 3 firefighters died battling a blaze in Colorado last weekend, and dangerous code red fire conditions remain in place through at least the next few days. Jim Spellman, CGTN, Washington.
Well, as heat waves hit many parts of the globe, major tech companies are under growing pressure to ensure AI data centres run reliably. Data from climate risk modelling company First Street shows that 79% of global data centre capacity faces high risk from acute climate hazards, including floods, extreme winds and wildfires. Such disruptions can lead to service interruptions, longer downtime and soaring insurance and repair costs. The report therefore urges investors to factor climate threats into insurance and investment decisions for the decades ahead. Well, for more insights on the economic impact of sustained extreme heat in Europe and the US, I'd like to bring in Shenyi Yang, Director of the Inclusive Development Research Centre. Thanks so much for speaking to us this afternoon. Now, the development of AI is advancing rapidly, but data centres are major power consumers and high temperatures are already straining power grids across the Northern Hemisphere. Are technology companies and urban planners taking this into account?
Of course. I think currently AI data centers now consuming about 1 to 2% of the global energy. And I think very soon, this figure could be double or tripled. So the power consumption is one thing, and also the security of those centers, cooling system. I think a lot of new issues need to be put into consideration.
And extreme heat is not just a weather issue or a health issue. It also affects labour productivity and drives up energy demand. Are we starting to see then the longer-term economic effects of climate change? And do you think those could encourage greater action to address it?
Yes, I think this is the issue of climate change adaptation. So now we have all seen that climate change causes a lot of issues, labor issues, human health. That's very, very important. But beyond that, I'm thinking about in the future, more climate change adaptation issues like heat waves to human health, and also this drought, floods, like South Asia, the land surface temperature with, reach recorded high, and a lot of people can't, stand that. Not like in Europe. Europe is a much better situation now. So I think we also need to think about the nuclear power stations on the permafrost, for example, in a high latitude area like Russia, and also a lot of technologies, technical standards for bridges, for high-speed rail foundations. A lot of things we need to reconsider it. So we do need a lot of research on the impact of climate change.
And as we heard earlier, global demand for air conditioning and refrigeration equipment is surging because of the hot weather. But what about alternative cooling solutions? I wonder what you think about this. Is it time we saw more sustainable building practices across the world, or using perhaps clever design and materials to keep buildings cool instead of relying on yet more air conditioning? I wonder if you think that could become a new growth industry.
Yes, I have seen a lot of new technology like passive housing, so new kind of cost-effective cooling system, and even solar air conditioner. So I think a lot of options we can use. The issue is, whether we have the budget, especially for developing countries in the global south. So in China, I just discussed with a professor in Tianjin University. They have a lot of very good, practices for, cooling, and also this passive, buildings. So I think technically still a lot of, issues we need to consider. But one more thing is that the government of every countries need to prepare budget for the future climate change. So for especially the extreme weather and also the heat waves.
Lots of work to do. Thank you very much, Shenyi Yang, joining us there from the Inclusive Development Research Centre. And this is Global Business. When we return, tensions flare. The US and Iran trade blame at a UN Security Council meeting after talks in Doha failed to make progress on a peace deal.
A vast land of 1.4 billion people. The world's second largest economy. Home to stories of the unexpected, the unimaginable, the breathtaking. Stories that touch the soul. Feel the speed, the passion. Enjoy spectacular natural and cultural landscapes. Feel the thrill of cutting-edge innovations. Discovering China. Global Biz. China Travel. We present to China never seen before. 24/7 at your fingertips.
Tensions remain high between the US and Iran as they trade blame at a UN Security Council meeting over the Strait of Hormuz. Washington has accused Tehran of ignoring their memorandum of understanding by launching attacks on cargo ships.
Just 2 weeks ago, the United States signed a memorandum of understanding with Iran. Its most basic premise, the Strait's international waterways must be open. Attacks on civilian shipping must stop. And we're here today because Iran ignored that.
Iran says the continued presence of US air assets in the Strait of Hormuz endangers regional security. Tehran warns that any US interference in the strait would trigger a decisive and swift response. Iran also stresses that all tanker and commercial vessels must follow designated routes for safe passage. The dispute comes after indirect talks concluded in Doha, with the two sides failing to make significant progress on a peace deal. Iran says it remains committed to implementing its MOU with the US on the condition that Washington fulfills its obligations.
Iran is the main victim of the wars of aggression launched by the United States and Israeli regime. The role of the victims and aggressor must not be reversed. No Security Council resolution can deprive a member state of its inherent right of self-defense under the UN Charter. Iran remains fully committed to implementing the MOU, including its provisions concerning the Strait of Hormuz, provided that the United States faithfully fulfill its own obligations.
The war has created a ripple effect across Iran's economy, leaving families struggling to keep up with rapidly rising costs. Sepa Saremi has this report from Tehran.
Across Iran, economic pressure is mounting. The cost of essentials continues to climb, and families are struggling to keep pace with the rapidly changing financial landscape. Last year, with 300,000 tomans, you could buy 3 chickens, but the same amount today barely buys 1. That means ordinary Iranians' purchasing power has fallen to 1/3 of what it was before. Some may argue that Iranian salaries have also increased, but the point is that the average wage growth in Iran has been around 20%. Today, to better understand this problem, I will speak with ordinary Iranians and also an economist. For shopkeepers, the reality is a daily struggle to keep up with shifting price tags.
Purchasing power has dropped significantly and prices change every week. People are struggling to make purchases.
The economic crisis is now reshaping Iranian culture and family life as the cost of basic hospitality becomes unsustainable for many.
I used to visit my sister's house once a week. Now I might only go once a year. You can't cook chicken or host guests anymore. And it's not just the chicken, it's the rice and the oil too. The price of cooking oil has gone up 5-fold.
It's a complex mix of structural policy changes and regional volatility. Analysts point to a chain of events starting well before the recent fighting.
The origin of this issue stems from several different factors.
Before the outbreak of the war, there was the policy of price liberalization and the removal of subsidies, which led to the elimination of the preferential currency rate for all goods. Instead, ration cards were provided to all the people of Iran. This caused inflation. After that, there were security and political issues, namely the events of January 2026 and, subsequently, the Ramadan War. These factors led to inflation and price hikes, especially for essential goods.
While international headlines often focus on nuclear energy and missile defense, here on the ground the narrative is much quieter and far more urgent. For ordinary Iranians, the primary struggle isn't political posturing. It's simply making ends meet. Seper Sodomy, CGTN, Tehran.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup is captivating audiences globally. Here in China, the phenomenon extends far beyond the television screen. The tournament has become a powerful catalyst for consumption, creating new economic trends across the country. CGTN's Zhang Seran has this report.
Here in Shanghai, World Cup fever is powering a new consumer economy. Pop-up exhibits, exclusive merchandise, themed dining, and citywide viewing screens. A new commercial model is emerging, one that deeply integrates sport, social life, and immersive experiences.
My friends and I play football together every weekend. For the World Cup, we'll either be at someone's house or a local sports bar. It's great to finally get together for a drink after work.
I'm self-taught in German and French, so I've grown into European football culture. By subscribing online for the regional commentary, I can practice my language skills while enjoying the match.
As a fitness coach, I really focus on the players' physical conditioning. So many rising stars debuted this year. I've already got my eye on their professional training gear.
I studied in France where my friends took me to a few matches, and I just got swept up in the culture. I couldn't resist buying this sports-themed bag.
This passion is fueling the local retail and consumption. It's drawing in fans from around the world, including from one of the host nations, Mexico.
Mexico! Mexico! This is the first game because, that I've watched, and it's really nice. I really like it here. I think it's more international than in my hometown. I've been in Shanghai a little less than a year. It makes it fun.
Across the country, this fusion of sport, entertainment, and business is empowering urban spaces, attracting crowds and boosting nighttime economies. Experts say this powerful jolt to the consumer market represents a significant commercial shift.
Consumption patterns for the World Cup have fundamentally changed. Instead of only watching at home alone, fans are planning getaway vacations around the games. A family might book a local hotel specifically for its high-quality viewing experience. This triggers a cascade of spending, from accommodations and transport to next-day tourism and leisure. The economic impact now extends far beyond the 90-minute match, becoming a powerful catalyst for urban consumption.
The World Cup's influence extends far beyond the pitch. It has become a powerful catalyst for a new consumption model worldwide, one that redefines fan engagement and transforms collective passion into tangible economic momentum. Zhang Siran, CGTN, Shanghai.
And finally now, with the heat wave set to continue in Europe, Madrid Zoo is finding novel ways to keep its prized residents cool. Ken Brown has more.
Panda ice pops are top of the menu in the Spanish capital as Spain braces for its second heat wave in as many weeks. Madrid Zoo is planning out summer diets and cooling treats as the mercury rises and temperatures of 40 degrees or more become the new normal. Jinxi, the male panda, has already had his fill of the ice treat that contains watermelon, bamboo leaves, apple and grapes. He's already moved on to the bamboo and he needs to eat up because the zoo is really hoping for some panda cubs over the next couple of years. No pressure now, Jinxi. Ju, the female, isn't missing out either. This young couple will hopefully breed here and help panda numbers grow worldwide. And it isn't just the pandas icing off. Dai, the Bornean orangutan, Adam the gibbon, and even Sela the baby orangutan is holding on tight while Mum scoffs some refreshing frozen fruit. Then there's Altai and Dunai, the Siberian tiger brothers, tucking into fresh new summer flavour frozen blood, and the sea lions who are fighting over these ice-cold fish and squid goodies. Yum. So do the visitors want to try?
No, I like chocolate ice cream. I want to visit ice cream now.
However you do it, avoiding overheating is crucial as the European continent bakes and new heat records continue to fall.
To stay cool, we put some extra showers, extra pools, some shades, also climate conditioning systems. And with the diet, we can play a little bit, like some fruits, tropical fruits in the case of the vegetarian species, or meat or fish for marine mammals. So they enjoy a lot to discover the food inside the big ice blocks, to stay hydrated, to drink a lot, to refresh yourself, going to the shade.
Not bad advice for us human animals either, with this melting hot summer ahead of us. Ken Brown, CGTN, Madrid.
And that wraps up this edition of Global Business. I'm Vivian Nunes in Beijing. Thanks for watching.